Are we doing Jaime? We good?
Baruch Hashem, yes. Are we connected?
Okay. Okay.
Forget to the studio we are.
100% Boker Ora Botai and Beruchim and Imsaim. Today we're broadcasting from our studios here in southeast Florida, in the great synagogue of our great Rabbi Elmaleh, and all his beautiful Talmidim. And Baruch Hashem, it's great to be here, and we hear a lot of good feedback from all our Bekiim Bahalacha affiliates all over the fruited plain. Yes, all over the globe. Okay, Rabotai, just some business to take care of before we begin today's discussion. At the end of yesterday's talk, guys back in Brooklyn were giving me a hard time, and they were saying that, listen, Rabbi, if a person takes off his talit, so according to Maran, we know you have to make a new beracha, but according to the other poskim, we don't make a beracha. So we said safek berachot, lakin. Fine, so you put it back on without a beracha. They wanted to say, what should be the problem? You're wearing a talet katan. So they want to say that if you're wearing a talet katan, so therefore it should always keep your beracha for the talet gadol alive. I'll tell you the logic that they're trying to say. When you get up in the morning, if you're a Sephardi, you don't make a beracha on talet katan. You put it on the morning, or you sleep with it, like we said, Menag Halabaz, they slept with the talet katan. Fine. You get up in the morning, you don't make a beracha. Even if it's 26 inches, even if it has the right shi'ur, doesn't matter. You make the beracha on talet gadol, the ta'atef b'sisit, and that covers talet katan. So beautiful. So they want to argue that if you took your talet katan, talet gadol off, even if you took it off for more than a half hour, he wants to say, this is the guy in Brooklyn, even if you want to take it off for more than a half hour, but your talet katan is still on, so then that should keep you in the game. Because since you made the beracha to cover your talet katan also, and that's still on, so therefore when you put your talet gadol on, you should be able to do it without a beracha. Anyway, we sent that question to Rabbi Bitan, and he discounted this logic very, very, very quickly. And he said nothing to talk. And he wanted to say, it would be he gave a mashal, a parable. Imagine somebody makes the beracha boreh pri gefen. Beautiful, he drinks wine. The gefen covers the water. Correct? Now he doesn't have to make shakol on the water. Now let's say in his mind, he says, I'm not drinking wine anymore. That's it, I'm done. I don't want any more wine. Now, while he can still drink the water, but the water does not allow him to drink without making gefen again. Once he took his mind off the gefen, even though it covered the water, even though the water is still alive, because he still might have the mind on water. But once he took his mind off the ikar, it's gone. He has to make gefen again. So what do I care if you're still wearing your talet katan? Bottom line, the main item, the talet gadol, is off your mind. And therefore, even though your talet katan is still on, you would have to make another beracha. So that's the first item. So that's only after a half hour, by the way. Within a half hour, we don't have a beracha, safek berachot. I'm going to tell you what one of the rabbis we have in Brooklyn, a kolel chatzot. These rabbis, they stay up all night, and they learn, Baruch Hashem. And one of the guys at kolel chatzot, he said, Rabbi, I don't understand, you're looking for solutions. So yesterday we gave some solutions. We said if a guy took off his talit and went to the bathroom, so we said, you know what? Maybe it's better to take a different talit. Let's say he's still using the shul's talit. So what do you care? Take a different talit. Once he takes a different talit, of course he can make a beracha. That would be a simple option. But some guy has his own talit. Okay, own talit. So what's he gonna do? So take the shul's talit anyway. Make a new beracha. And then so there are ways to get around this, we said. One of the rabbis from Kolel Chatzot sent me a Mishnah Berurah in the Biur Halacha in Siman Het that he quotes from the Magen Abraham, the Hadush. He says if the person takes off the talit and he specifically has intention to put it back on again, which is easy. I mean, I think that is his intention. Why is he going to the bathroom? Of course, but let's say he specifically has the intention that he wants to put it right back on again. He says, even according to Maran, even according to Shulchan Aruch, you would not have to make another beracha. Then that's a hadush. Do we have the Mishnah Berurah here, Rabbeinu?
So you got translated on the top. Yeah, that's also one. This also. This is also. This is the Tiferet, but you got one.
Okay, doesn't matter. Let's see what he's talking about over here. He quoted it. He said it's a Mishnah Berurah in Siman Chet. I mean, everybody's trying to figure out now solutions. I'm very happy that they're trying to make this. Yeah, he says Ayin. It's a Biur Halacha Yud Dalet. What did Maran write in Yud Dalet? In Pashat Talito, a guy took his talet off. Afilu ayad dato la'azol atepo miyad. Even if his intention was to put it on, immediately sarich lebarech. That's Maran's opinion. Once you take your talet off, according to Shulchan Aruch, you gotta make it do beracha. We don't hold like this. We have safek berachot lakir. Says the Mishnah Berurah. Ayem Mishnah Berurah Biur Halacha. ומה שכתבנו בעיין לעיל בסעיף קטן לברב, דהיינו מאוחד מהגן אברהם, דאם בשעת הברכה, בשעת הברכה, if at the time that you made the ברכה, לתעטף בסיסית, היה דעתו שיפשטנו ויעזוב וילבשנו. He knew, the guy knows himself, he knows he can't make it to the whole tefillah without going to the bathroom a couple of times. He knows he has issues. So therefore, when he makes the ברכה לתעטף בסיסית, he has kavanah, I know I'm taking it off. And I'm going to put it back. He says, even according to Maran, you're okay. Maybe that's the answer. This is gold what this guy from Kolel Hatzot sent me over here. This is giving you now maybe a better kavanah than a person should have when he puts on his talit every morning. Add it to the kavanot, which means now we said when you put your talit gadol on in the morning, you have to have two kavanot so far. Number one, to cover talit katan. Number two, in order to fulfill the Teriyag Mitzvot, to remember the Teriyag Mitzvot. The whole purpose of Tzisit is what? To remind you that you have to fulfill the Teriyag Mitzvot. The person puts a red string on his hand to remind him to buy milk. So somebody tells him, hey, by the way, I see this red string on your hand. What is it? I have no idea. So what's the whole purpose of putting a red string? You need a string to remind you of the string. So therefore, the same thing with Talet. If a person puts on the Talet, and somebody says, wow, that's amazing. I see these strings on your tassels. What is it for? I have no idea. The rabbi said to put it on. Listen, I follow the Hachamim. Hachamim say to put it. I put it. Don't ask questions. Of course you have to ask questions. The whole reason for putting the strings is in order to remember the Teriyag Mitzvot. If you didn't remember the Teriyag Mitzvot, you defeated the whole purpose of the Mitzvah in the first place. Fine. So therefore, that's Kavanah number 2. But now I think we're going to add Kavanah number 3. Again, if you're listening today to the Bekiim Halacha, we're saying a big Hadusha today that we didn't say in the previous days. And that is based on this Biur Halacha, that when you put on your talet and you say the beracha, if you anticipate that you're going to take the talet off during the prayers, so have in mind at the time of the beracha, that if I take the talet off, I have intention now to put it back on again. Says the Mishnah Berurah on that, and I quote, he says, "Lekol alma en tzarich la'azor u'lebarich." According to everybody, would not have to make another beracha. V'zeh la'aniyut da'ati ha'etzah ha'yi'utzah sheyuchal latzet b'zeh lechol ha'de'ot. No, leave half hour, not half hour, maybe not half hour. He says, "Sheyichaven b'shat beracha shemistarek lefoshto sheyachzor v'yilbeshenu." Good. Maybe not more than a half hour, because that's already a sehadat. But we're saying even within a half hour we have a problem because Maran says yes, and we say no. So this would be the solution. Anyway, I think that's a very.
What about this down? That was the Moroccan customers. Maran, we go like.
You see this here?
That was the Moroccan customers. According to Maran, if it falls off,
yes, Maran says to make a
this also helps for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
This helps with the falling work also.
Yeah. Make the beracha.
If it falls off,
if it falls off, if you go to the bathroom, if somebody takes it from Birkat Kohanim, and they need it back, like the Kohen. All these cases where Maran says you have to make a new beracha, and we don't, so we said we want to get around this. Because listen, you never want to do something where Maran said to make a beracha, and you're putting yourself in a debacle or a predicament where you're not making the beracha. Meaning, if Maran was there, so what are you doing? You didn't make a beracha. Safek berachot. Okay, but safek berachot against Maran, we don't want to put ourselves in that position. So again, this Mishnah Brura.
You have to have kavana every day, or you can do it for once a year.
So probably you should have it every day. Although we've seen that when it comes to other items, a condition, for the whole year helps, like Nerot Shabbat, things like that. Yeah, possible.
Hold it every time you go to the bathroom and put it back.
The folding said we didn't make a difference. It's a half hour. Chabad wrote that in one of his teshuvot, but we said it was lav dafka. Even if you fold it, that doesn't mean you're not coming. But you're coming back. Who are you sketching? You went to the bathroom, you're coming back. Even if you fold it, and if you put on the thing, I'm not coming. You're coming back. You can't fool the. Okay, can't fool this. Okay, now Rabotai, we start day 62. Day 62 is a big item. It's on page 123 in the Bekiim books. And here we introduce a fantastic mahloket amongst the Rishonim on which garments are obligated in Tzisit, meaning the material. What does the material have to be? So we have over here, first we have a Gemara on the pasuk that says, V'asu lahem Tzisit al kanfeh bigdehem. So we know that Tzisit goes on a beged. Okay, what is a beged? Beged's a garment. The question is, what's the material of beged? So the Gemara says in the name of Rabbi Ishmael that a beged can be one of two items. Either something that's made out of sheep's wool or linen. As we know from the laws of tzara'at, the laws of leprosy, when the Torah talks about the laws of the tum'ah of tzara'at, it talks about tzara'at beged. And when it talks about tzara'at beged, it talks about either wool or linen. So there was it. So according to these opinions, the only way we can fulfill a mitzvah from the Torah of Tzisit is either that the garment itself should be wool or the garment itself should be linen. That's Rabbi Ishmael's opinion in the Gemara. Not everybody agrees. Rava, however, explaining the majority of the opinion of the Tanaim that argue on the Rabbi Ishmael, he says, no, what's the difference? It says in the pasuk, al sisita kanaf. What is sisita kanaf? To put sisit on the corner. All we learn from there is that you have to match the sisit with the garment. And so long as you match the sisit with the garment, meaning it's the same species, it's the same kind, you're also min Torah. So therefore, if I'm wearing a silk garment and I have silk sisiyot, min Torah. And if I have a cotton garment and I have cotton strings, min Torah. And if I have a cashmere and I have a cashmere strings, min Torah. And that's the only thing the Torah is telling you. It should match al kanfeh bigdehem. However, he says, when you have wool strings or linen strings, that's universal. That covers any garment. Which means, like type O blood? Type O blood is universal donor. Okay, beautiful. So therefore, wool strings is considered universal. That means, according to these opinions, if you put wool strings on cotton, min Torah, which is an unbelievable option. The people that have a hard time, let's say, wearing like a wool garment, it's a heavy garment. You guys live in Florida over every day you get the anara. So now what happens is, I want to put on a cotton garment, but I want to do the oraita. I don't want to do the banan. So you take a cotton garment according to these opinions, you put wool strings to the cotton garment, and you have minatura. But that's not the first opinion. The first opinion says you only fulfill the oraita if the garment is wool or the garment is linen. Every other garment, according to the first opinion, is out. Now the question is, who did the Sephardim follow? Do we follow the first opinion or the second opinion? So there was a great rabbi. He was called Rabbi Yosef ibn Migash, or some say Megas. Who was this rabbi, Rabbi Yosef ibn Megas? He was a rabbi from Spain, and he was a student of Rabbeinu Yitzhak Al-Fasi, the Rif. And he was the Rosh Yeshiva. After the Rif passed away, he became the Rosh Yeshiva for 38 years. He was the Gaon Shebegeonim. As a matter of fact, his most famous student Rabbi Yosef ibn Megas, was none other than Rambam's father, Maimon. Maimon, Rambam's father. There's a tradition that they say that actually it was the Rambam's rabbi also, but it's hard to go according to the historical calculations. It seems that the Rambam passed away, that Migas passed away when the Rambam was only 3 years old. But it seems that since it was his father's rabbi, so he calls it his rabbi. If anybody wants to see what Maimonides thought about this rabbi, look in his Hakdama to Perush HaMishnah. Maimonides wrote a Perush on the Mishnayot. In his introduction to Perush HaMishnayot, I never saw Harambam lay accolades on anybody. He says the man had the greatest Talmudic mind. I don't think anybody ever rivaled him in history. What? That's Rambam saying about the Megas. He says, I don't think anybody ever rivaled him in history with his Talmudic mind and his understanding. He says, if you could understand what he means, if you are able to plummet the depth of his understanding. So anytime we have the Megas, we take his opinion very seriously. Actually, whoever's learning that for your now, Baba Batra, he has a Perush on, not all the Masechtot, but Baba Batra, and he wrote maybe over 200 responsa of She'elot or Tshuvot that came to him over the time. Anyway, I want you to become familiar with these great Sephardic Rishonim. He lived about 1,000 years ago. That's the time, because Maimonides is about 800 years ago, 800, so it's about 1,000 years ago. Anyway, the Megas followed the opinion of his rabbi, the Rif, and also this happens to be the opinion of Harambam. So you got the major leaguers now, and they all said, we follow the first opinion. The only garment that is the oraita is a wool garment or linen. We'll discuss linen in a minute. Therefore, if you're a Sephardi and you're wearing cotton, God bless you. No question. We're not going to throw you out of the shul yet. That's not a crime to throw you. No, I don't think you disqualify for aliyat shishi. We can still give you aliyat shishi. However, anybody that has yirat shamayim, that's what the Mishnah Berurah says. Anybody that has fear of God, once you know, especially if you're a Sephardi, and you know already that wool is the only way to fulfill a mitzvah min Torah. Now you say, hold it. What's the matter with mitzvah Rabbanan? Anyone with Rabbanans? You always tell us Rabbanan. And now all of a sudden you say, Rabbanan. No, it's very simple. What's the difference between a $100 bill and a $50 bill? That's really the question we have to ask ourselves. Now, if you could figure out that, you'll know the difference between the Oraita and Rabbanan. So there's two bills on the table. Which bill does the guy pick up? He picks up the 100 every single time. Why? Ask him, why don't you take the 50? What do you have something against the $50 bill? I'm nothing against $50. By the way, if the $50 bill is the only bill on the table, I'll pick that one up. But if it's a choice between the 100 and the 50, I'm always going to take the 100. And anybody that takes the 50, you have to ask. You have to ask, what are you doing? And it's hard to justify that. Unless he tells you, no, I like the picture on the $50 bill better. Why am I saying that? But that's what they say when it comes to the cotton. They say, listen, it's more comfortable. And maybe it is. And especially in the summer, where it's hot, and people tend to sweat. Okay, fine. But then the question is, will you get used to it? I think you will get used to it. Over the course of time, you get used to anything. You put an undershirt on. Today they have the wool that's very, 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 very thin. Today they make it. And after 1 or 2 days, you don't even know what you're wearing. You don't even realize that it's wool. Your body acclimates to it, and you get used to it. Look at God bless the ladies. The ladies that have to follow the laws of tzniut. They have to wear long sleeves, and they have to wear long clothes. They have to cover their hair every day. And I know nobody ever died of heat exhaustion because they were following the laws of tzniut. And as far as I know, I didn't look at the statistics. Nobody ever died of heat exhaustion because they wore wool tzitzit. Rabbi, you heard any cases dying of heat exhaustion because of wearing wool tzitzit? No, you never heard of it. Okay, so therefore, again, I'm very happy to report to you. Yesterday in Brooklyn, one of the tzaddikim of our community, his name is Moshe Kishik. He's tzaddik Yesod Olam, this guy. He came special to the synagogue. He says, Hacham, you're driving me crazy. The people are coming in. All they want to buy is wool tzitzit now. Wool tzitzit. Everybody's buying wool tzitzit. I can't produce them fast enough. Then they want to buy it. But I just want to know the measurement that you said. So we went again. We reviewed the doctor over here, Jean Paul. He got excited when we took our Tzitzit in the shiur the other day. You saw that one? You didn't see that one? In the middle of the shiur, the people were saying that the rabbi's Tzitzit is not the oraita. I said, I'm wearing wool, but it's not the right size. My Tzitzit is talit gadol, gadol ador. Anyway, I ripped off my Tzitzit off my thing, and we took it out, and we started to take the measuring stick. And to my shock, I used to buy the Tzitzit 24 inches. 24, you can't buy more than 24 inches. We measured it. It's not 48 centimeters on 24 centimeters on each side. Which is about 9 inches on each side. It's about 8.5 inches. We went, we returned it, and we got the 26-inch one. The 26-inch one, which really comes out to here. Yes, comes out to here, by the way. But what are you going to do? Like a football player, exactly. But nonetheless, that shiur is the right size. So the doctor got excited because we ripped it. But we want to follow Bahalacha. We want to do the right thing. So again, you have Rimegas, Rif, Rambam. You have the Rigeat. You have the Rashba that's quoting Rav Hai Gaon. You have Rabbi Yosef the Trani. You have the Sefer HaChinuch. You have the Kolbo, the Nimukei Yosef. All of them. And by the way, Maran. Maran in Siman Tet. I'm reading now Shulchan Aruch. En haya besisit min haTorah ela beged pishtin o shel semer rechelin. The only beged that's hayab min haTorah is either a linen garment or wool from sheep. Aval begdei she'ar minin, but other materials, en hayabim besisit ela midrabanan. So that's clearly the opinion on. If you look at the note, where's he getting this from? He's getting it from Harambam. If you look at the Mishnah Berurah, the Mishnah Berurah comes along and says, like we said, Yereh Shamayim. I'm reading in Halacha here. Because Ashkenazim argue, by the way. Ashkenazim hold like the second opinion. Any garment is the oraita. Listen, there's advantages to be a Sfaradi, there's advantages to be Ashkenazi. I didn't go through all of the advantages yet, but this is one advantage. For example, is the Ramah writes, "V'yesh omrim v'chuddu hayabim mideoraita v'achil cheta." Unbelievable. So you have two guys go up to Shamayim after 120 years. They both wore cotton sisiyot. They both wore cotton. The first guy's last name is Tawil, Me'eli Kohen. They tell him, okay, the Rabbanan, they give him $50. The next guy said, my name is Friedman. Friedman? Ashkenazi? Give him $100. The guy tells us, I don't understand, how come he gets $100 for wearing cotton and I get $50? You're Sfaradi. Sfaradi, it's not Dorai. It's an amazing thing. I said, you have to follow your rabbi. But and I'm not saying just because of that, it's advantageous to be an Ashkenazi. I'm not saying that at all. One time somebody told me, the head of Torah Masorah, I was in Toronto, and I gave a derash for Torah Masorah. Oh, in Toronto, the rabbi said that. I gave a derash by one of the guys' houses, rich guy over there. And then the rabbi from Torah Masorah is driving me back to the hotel. We're driving back. It was Elul time. So he says, okay, tomorrow, Rabbi, we pray at 8 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock. It's Elul. I said, I got to pray at 5 o'clock in the morning. We have Selichot. He said, no. We don't have Selichot until, exactly 4 days before. So he tells me, okay, you have to wake up for a month, but at least you can eat rice on Pesach. That was his nehama, like the Nuhamah min Hashamayim. At least you can eat rice on Pesach. I said, do me a favor, I'll give up the rice any day. I'll give up the rice. Give me a month of sleep. That's not a fair. Who cares about rice on Pesach? We can live with that. Morocco's only rice on Pesach. Who needs the rice on Pesach? He thought that that's such a compliment. So listen, I don't know exactly how it. I think it probably balances out over the course of Halacha. Between Sfaradim and Ashkenazim, stuff that they could do, stuff that we could do. This is one of them where they're very strict and they're very lenient. That's why there's no reason for an Ashkenaz. I shouldn't say no reason. I mean, if he wants to follow the strict halacha, he can go into the store and order cotton without any compunction or guilt or shame whatsoever. Although the Mishnah Berurah
The Hasidim, they all
Yeah, God bless them. Why? Because the Mishnah, God bless them, because the Mishnah did say, no, look. Because the Mishnah did say, the Yiresh Shamayim Yahmir al Atzmo. He does say Yiresh Shamayim should be Mahmir, Lahush לדעה ראשונה, ויעשה טלית של צמר, כדי שיתחייב בספרתו לכל העם, ונכון שיעשה בין טלית גדול, בין טלית קטן. And then the Mishnah said you should do it ben talit gadol, ben talit katan. You know, which is both your big talit and small. Could you imagine when we were young, whether it was in Shari Sion or even Bet Torah Vikta, I'm sure. I don't remember Bet Torah as much as I remember Chish. They used to have remember those, I don't know if they were made up, those talit gadols. Rayon, exactly. It was not even material. It was like a synthetic. I don't remember what I'm talking about?
And it flew right off.
Right, it slips right off. It was made up of some
rayon.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It was a blue and white, and you had it, and it usually was the size of a scarf. You know, it was a scarf type of talit, neck scarf. But that was the main, and the tassels were like silk. I'm telling you, that's what I remember. Could you imagine now, Baruch Hashem, how many years later? Today you don't see them. Today when you go to our synagogues, Baruch Hashem, all wool tzitzit for talit gadol. I don't think you could find a non-wool for talit gadol. Okay, talit katan, that's a preference. But again, I'm saying as we're starting to learn the halacha, especially the Gemara says there's certain times in Jewish history that's called Idan Ritha. Idan Ritha means where God is angry. I don't know how to judge. How do you know when he's angry or not angry? But when there's judgment in the world, I would assume, I don't know, after October 7th, that was a time of Idan Ritha for the Jewish people. Any day in the United Nations is Idan Ritha for the Jewish people. That's obvious. So the Gemara says that even on the mitzvat aseh, God will punish for. Normally, God doesn't punish for a mitzvat aseh, especially mitzvah of Tzisit. It's not mandatory. If you have a garment, then you put 4 strings. If you don't have a garment, but the Gemara says, but in Idan Ritha, they get you even on those type of things where, on a mitzvah aseh that you're not fulfilling correctly. So therefore, who knows, Beidan Ritha that we're in now, and we need protection, might be a good idea to follow the advice of the Mishnah Berurah to try to get yourself a wool. You know what? I'm going to say it like this here. Don't go so fast. How about if you're a cotton guy, break the ice and buy a wool. Have it in your closet. Exactly. So you're in Florida. So when the weather gets below 70, okay, so you're freezing. So then you put on your talit. For us already, there's no excuse. I live in Brooklyn now. It's going to be 29 degrees tonight. And therefore, we're happy to put talit. It's a double advantage for us. But when it comes to doing these mitzvot, one should try to do them in the best way possible. Now, one more item for today's introduction. See, now you're an expert. You know the famous mahloket between the Rishonim. What type of garment is the Uraita? So you have, again, all those Faradi rabbis that I told you, wool, and then against them you have the Ramah that quotes the Tosafot, the Benu Asher, the Sefer Machriya, the Sefer Mitzvot Gadol, the Mordechai, the Arbaturim. Those are the rabbis that say all garments are considered a deoraita, so long as you're matching the strings. So according to the Ashkenazim, you got to match wool, cotton with cotton, or we said wool is covers everything. So if you have wool strings, which basically the strings of wool today, you're okay. Now the question is like this: if you look in the Torah juxtaposes 2 mitzvot next to each other. The mitzvah of shatnez, the issur of wearing wool and linen, right next to the mitzvah of Tzisit. So the rabbis of the Gemara are trying to understand what's the connection between shatnez and Tzisit. So the Gemara says that although you're not allowed to wear a blend of wool and linen, but if you're doing it to fulfill the mitzvah of Tzisit, it's okay. And therefore the Gemara says you could have a linen garment with wool strings, which normally, if you'd have that in a suit, would be shatnez deoraita. Your prayers would not be accepted. It would be in contempt of a lot of problems. But when it comes to Tzisit, because of that Hekesh in the Pesukim, the Gemara says it's okay. However, there's one big caveat over here. The caveat is that's only at the time that you're able to fulfill the mitzvah of Tzisit in the full-fledged manner. And that is when you have the tchelet, when you have the blue string. Now, today, you see people wearing the blue string. And I don't have anything against it, but I don't know if we're 100% certain yet that the blue that the people are wearing is indeed the tchelet. Now, no, you see that on the Talit Gadol and Katan also, same thing. Same thing. But you see the blue. It's becoming more popular. There was a great rabbi, the Admor Miruzhin, not Miruzhin, the Radzina. He spent his life. Ashrab Ashrei for the tzaddikim, how much they love the mitzvot. He spent his life, the Radzina, to try to figure out the real techelet. And at the end, the rabbis didn't agree that he found it. Later, rabbis came along and they said, no, we have it now, and they put it. And their claim is, listen, it doesn't hurt. If it's the techelet, you're getting the best mitzvah. And if it's not, it looks nice. It doesn't invalidate the sisiyot. My opinion is, I follow my rabbis. Acham Baruch Alav Hashem did not have the blue. Chavovadia Alav Shalom that had access to anyone. If he would have snapped his finger, Chavovadia, they would have brought him any type of seat that he wanted. And he never snapped. Because he saw his rabbi they didn't. Again, I have no opinion on somebody that has the blue strings. Good luck, but it's not going to be enough to allow that guy to wear shatnez. Which means we're not going to say that, oh, you have the blue string, therefore get a linen garment, because this will solve our problem. Linen is much lighter. Linen is light. So therefore you get linen, you have wool strings, and the blue string. By the way, that's like the best of both. When Mashiach comes, that's probably what we're going to do, by the way. When Mashiach comes, that'll probably be the best solution for us. Get a linen garment, which is light. Get wool strings, which is okay. Shatnez doesn't apply. Get the real tchelet that they're going to give us when Mashiach comes, and that's what it's going to look like. So it's not going to look like what we're wearing today. So all the wool sisiyot that you have when Mashiach comes, you're going to retire for a linen garment like that. Now, if you look at the note on 124, just to read it inside, as long as someone has both white and techelet strands in his tzitzit tassels, I'm reading on 124 at the bottom, he does not need to be concerned with the issue of shatnez. Nowadays, when we are not sure that the techelet is or how to produce it, we have no authority to override the prohibition of shatnez. That's it. We have no authority. Therefore, if someone has a woolen garment, he may attach only woolen tzitzit towards it. If he has a linen garment, he can only put linen on it as well. Now, the final thing that we say today is what is a famous opinion of Rabbeinu Tam. You know what he said, Rabbeinu Tam? Do not wear a linen talet ever. Ever. Because he said, even if you have the blue string. Okay. So I'm good. I got the blue string. I have woolen because you might wear it at night. And since the mitzvah of Tzisit, according to the Bible, does not apply at night, now you're wearing shatnez. So he hedged. He said, I don't want you to get involved in this item over here because it could lead to a problem of shatnez. And I'm reading that note, the Tam rule that it's forbidden to wear a linen talit since we do not have the right to override the prohibition of shatnez except during the day. When the mitzvah of Tzisit. At night, there's no mitzvah. And by the way, if you look at Shulchan Aruch, I want to read it inside. And we'll conclude with this. Shulchan Aruch, I started to read it inside because whenever we can read Maran inside, we should read it inside. This is 9.6. 9.6. Yesh omrim she'en asot talet shel pishtan. You shouldn't make a talet for pishtan. Whose opinion is that? Rabbeinu Tam. Ve'afa pishen halacha ken. Well, he says halacha is not like that. Shulchan doesn't agree with it. Yerei shamayim yetzeh et kulam. Yerei shamayim should follow it. Ve'oseh talit shel semer v'chelim. Just take wool שהוא חייב בסיסית מן התורה בלי פקפוק. So again, Maran repeats himself, only go with the wool, that's beli pikpuk. Nobody argues on it, and that's the way he's going to say.
There's no linen strings, Rabbi?
Huh?
There's no linen strings?
They have linen strings.
That's it, but
Yeah.
could have been a time if you had wore linen,
Yeah,
linen
he
strings.
would not have a problem with it. He's talking about over here where we're doing the wool, 100%. I can say, okay, we'll conclude this over here. Okay, רבותיי, וסתיו, ברוך ה' לעולם, אמן ואמן רבי חנן כשהוא אומר, נשא ברוך הוא שקודש לפיכך, כלבד להם סוף הזמן של קודש תורה וידיר.